Hello, we are going to attempt to solve a word problem. We'll start by reading the words that they tell us. So it says you plan to invest $12,000 in two funds. So immediately I recognize this $12,000 is a total. The two funds pay 4.5% and 5%. I know that I'm going to need those percentages to be decimal. So off to the side, I'm going to take 4.5 and rewrite it as 4.5, but that is still a percent. And then I'm going to need to change that percent to a decimal. So I'm going to have to divide it by 100. Some of you will be comfortable moving your decimal, but if you're not, you can always divide by 100, and that will give you 0.045. Similarly, the 5% has to be a decimal, so that's going to be 5 over 100. And dividing that out will give me 0.05. So I can keep reading. I kind of lost focus because I know I needed to have decimals for the percent. It tells me there is more risk in the 5% fund. So it's telling me that because if there weren't more risk, I would definitely put all my money in the fund that pays more. But because there's more risk, there is more of a chance that I would lose my money. And so splitting it between the two funds makes sense to secure my investment. My goal is to obtain an annual interest income of $580 from the investments. The word annual here is important because that means that we would be investing for 1 year, and so that 1 is not going to change the math that we do. If this was over 5 years, we would have to bring the 5 into our problem, but it's not. It's over 1 year. Finally, we look at our question, and it asks us what amount should you invest in each fund. So to start a word problem, we want to start by writing down variables to answer the question. So I typed these out to save time on the video, but I would let X be the money invested at 4.5% and Y be the money invested at 5%. So that would answer the question, what amount and in each fund. So I have my two funds. Now, we talked about in our pre-lecture that we need an items equation and we need a value equation. So the items that we have here are dollars, and we know that we have $12,000. We're all thinking, I wish. We know that we have $12,000 to invest. So my items equation is going to be X, the money that I invest at 4.5%, plus Y, the money that I invest at 5%, and that equals $12,000 because that is the number of dollars, the number of items that I have to invest. And somehow I'm putting some in each account, and they'll add up to that amount. Now, my value equation. In this problem, the value is not the dollars themselves, but the interest that we're earning on them, because that is my return on that investment. So the interest that I get on the X dollars, I will get 4.5%. I already did the work off to the side to have a decimal for that percent. So I will take the 0.045 times the X, and that will give me the interest on that account, or the value of that account. I'm going to do a similar process with Y, so I will take the 5% as a decimal, which I already did off to the side, so 0.05, multiply it times the Y to calculate the interest on that investment. And then the total interest that I hope to earn is this $580, which would have been my second total, or my total value. The second total or the value. And so this is 500. Now that I have two equations, I can actually use the Desmos graphing calculator to do the solving and to figure out what x and y equal. So I'm pulling in my calculator into my window, and I'm going to click in the space for the first equation. If your keypad doesn't show up immediately, you can click on it here, or you can use your actual keyboard. So my first equation is x plus y equals 12,000. Then I click where the 2 is, and that'll let me go down and type my second equation. So 0.045x plus 0.05y is equal to 580. Right, looks like both are typed correctly. Now you'll notice that I don't see anything over here on my screen, but as I was typing in my coordinate plane here, I did see little glimmers of things. So they're there, they're just not in the window that I currently have. So I'm taking my mouse and I'm scrolling down with my mouse, which is helping me to zoom out. I can also do this with the plus minus buttons over here. And I'm really zooming out because I know that I was investing thousands of dollars, so I'm feeling like I need to be out in the thousands. So starting to scroll a little faster. Oh, there's some lines. Now you can also click and drag this window, so I can drag this to where I can see. So I see the green line is from my first equation, the purple line is my second equation, and somewhere in here they match. So I click, and Desmos will show me key points, and it shows me that these two lines intersect at 4,000, 8,000. So I want to take that information back to make sense of it in my word problem. So from my Desmos, I get the ordered pair 4,000, 8,000. The ordered pair always comes in alphabetical order, so x first and y second. And so this is telling me, because I define my variables, x was the money invested at 4.5%, so that x is equal to 4,000. And then y was the money invested at 5%, so that y is 8,000, which is the money that we invested at the 5%. And then I can see that 4,000 plus 8,000 does equal 12,000. So it checks in this first equation. I could also plug in x and y in the second equation, and since there was no rounding at all, if I take 0.045 times 4,000 plus 0.05 times 8,000, that adds up to be exactly $580. And so that equation also